Hi, my name is Julian from Ocean-Spring Watermakers, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to pickle your modular water maker. The pickling is necessary if you cannot use or flush the system for a period longer than 7 days. In colder climates, of course, those 7 days can be extended a bit, but we focus on the typical 7-day period that is valid for all warm climates. So if you're leaving your boat alone for more than 7 days, you will need to think about pickling. For shorter periods of absence, it's an option to replace the ball valve on the flushing water by a rinse timer that is readily available in hardware stores or also in several online marketplaces. And like this, you can optimize the flushing for some weeks and thereby get away without pickling the water maker. Anyhow, I will explain now what's to be considered for the pickling. The idea of pickling is basically to protect the membranes from biological growth during longer periods of absence by circulating pickling agent that is preventing the biological growth through the system. As a pickling agent, we recommend to use only propylen glycol. It's a food-safe and environmental friendly product that does very well in protecting the membranes without causing any other hazard to the other components and materials used in a water maker. That's why we recommend to use propylene glycol. Also, depending on the concentration you achieve, you also get quite some frost protection for your water maker in case that's an issue for you and your boat. I'm going to show you now how to actually cycle through the propylene glycol through the system. One important thing to mention before you start with the pickling, of course, you want to make sure that there's no salt water or seawater left in the system. So thoroughly flush it with fresh water before you start the pickling procedure. Yeah, when it comes to pickling with glycol, it's also a question of the concentration of glycol you're achieving or you need. And there's two aspects. One is the pickling in terms of the biological growth protection, and the other thing is the frost protection. If you only need the biological growth protection, then a concentration of 30% is enough. If you need frost protection, it depends a bit on the temperatures. If you really need to go down in temperatures, like into the minus 20 degrees Celsius range, we really want to go to like 60% concentration. That's also what we recommend in our manual. The other thing then is the internal volume of the system, which depends a bit on the configuration, meaning having one membrane, two membranes, or even three membranes. In such a system with two membranes, the internal volume will be around 7 liters, meaning for a concentration of around 30%, we will need roughly 3 liters of glycol, and that's what I prepared here now. If you buy glycol in some camping caravan stores as frost protection agent, you need to pay attention on the label whether it's already diluted or whether it's pure glycol. If it's already a diluted product, it's not a problem. If it's diluted with water only, it's not harmful for the machine, for the water maker, but you need to consider that when it comes to the concentration. So in order to be able to cycle through the propylene glycol through the system, I provided a container with the right amount of glycol, and I put in 2 hoses. One is the hose coming from the seawater inlet to the sea strainer, so the seawater inlet hose, and the other is the brine water outlet hose coming from the pressure regulator that usually lets the salty wastewater overboard, and I put that in the same container, and like this we are able to cycle through the glycol on the seawater side of the water maker. So if we prepared now our container with the hoses in, we are ready to start the cycling procedure. And in this case, we again have the problem that the feed pump is not self-priming. So we could either fill up the suction hose on the feed pump, make sure there is no air in, so it can actually suck up the glycol from the container, or to make us life a bit easier, we just use the high pressure pump again. So we first start the high pressure pump, see that it's sucking out the glycol out of the container. And once that's working, we also switch on the feed pump to help the high pressure pump a bit with the suction, and then it's cycling through the system, and we keep that running for 5 to 10 minutes. Switch on the high pressure pump, check if it's taking up the glycol, and then also switch on the feed pump. to help the high pressure pump. And we keep that now running for 5 to 10 minutes. As the propylene glycol has been cycling through the system now for about 10 minutes, I've switched off both pumps again. Basically, the pickling is done now. Initial host configurations can be put back in place, and the unit is ready to be left unattended for up to 12 months. In case you are expecting frost during the winter, for example, you also need to empty out like the product water lines where no frost protection was achieved to make sure you don't get any damages from frost in case that happens. Other than that, that was the pickling procedure. I hope I could explain to you that it's not a complicated thing at all. In case you got any questions left, please let me know down in the comments or just get in touch with me directly. Thank you very much for your attention and see you next time. Bye.